All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unraveling the absolutely tragic disappearance of Nancy Howery. This is one of those cases that perfectly demonstrates how a web of lies can be completely dismantled by a digital footprint and rigorous forensic science. We're going to step right into the shoes of investigators today, piecing together a timeline that begins with a simple search for connection and ends with a truly chilling discovery. We've got a strictly structured timeline to get through today. We're looking at Nancy's search for connection, how the investigation kicks off, the surveillance and arrest, that intense interrogation, the concrete forensic evidence, and finally, the verdict and justice. Part 1. Nancy's search for connection. You know, before we even touch on the crime itself, it's absolutely crucial that we understand who Nancy was as a human being. Her mother really hit the nail on the head, urging everyone to look past the headlines. If you want to see what she was like, look up Nancy Howery and see the mother she was, the wife that she was before he destroyed her. Nancy was 44, full of life, running a YouTube channel filled with family videos, baking tips, and book reviews. She was a real, vibrant person. But behind the scenes, by mid-February, Nancy was facing an absolute landslide of personal crises. She owed her ex-husband around $60 grand, her lease wasn't being renewed, and she just lost this exhausting legal dispute with a major bank. Oh, and throw a prior DUI on top of all that. She was literally drowning in stress. So turning to Tinder? She wasn't being reckless. She was just incredibly vulnerable, desperately looking for a spark of comfort amidst all that chaos. Part 2. The investigation begins. The timeline here is terrifyingly tight. On Tuesday, February 14th, Nancy's texting her kids and some Tinder matches. Everything seems totally normal. But the very next day, the 15th, she doesn't pick her kids up from school. That is a massive red flag, totally uncharacteristic for her. She misses a second day, and by Saturday the 18th, her ex-husband, Todd Howery, is sitting at the police station officially reporting her missing. Right out of the gate, investigators hit these glaring discrepancies. They pull in 32-year-old Daniel Stearns, a guy Nancy had met on Tinder, and he plays dumb, claims they had a falling out, haven't spoken in weeks, swears he has no idea where she is. But the digital footprint tells a completely different story. Her abandoned car turns up near Palm Bay, her phone's last location pings right next to his local rifle range, and friends confirm they literally set up a date for the 15th. His whole alibi is already falling apart. Part 3, the surveillance and arrest. So, knowing Daniel is lying through his teeth, Game Over agents from the Brevard County Sheriff's Office step in and start shadowing his every single move. First, they track him out to the compound, this desolate, abandoned area down in Palm Bay. The next day, agents actually listen to him digging deep in the woods for hours. Finally, they tail him to a nearby canal, and the moment he starts washing out this really suspicious bucket, boom, they move in and detain him. Part 4. Interrogation and deception. Now, inside the interrogation box, Daniel's whole narrative completely shifts. Suddenly, he admits taking Nancy to the compound to teach her how to shoot, but claims she went absolutely berserk. He says she made an explosive move for his gun, fought him ruthlessly, spit on him. He literally calls it as good as an ambush, which leads investigators to a massive question. Was this actually a sudden, lethal ambush requiring self-defense? Or was it a cold, calculated, premeditated murder? Detectives weren't buying it for a second. I mean, let's just look at the stats here. On one side, you have Daniel, 32, physically fit, decorated 205B military infantryman, 2 combat tours in Afghanistan, highly trained. On the other side, you have Nancy, a 44-year-old mom, about 150 pounds, who Daniel himself called not fully fit. The idea that she could somehow overpower a combat veteran so completely that he had to shoot her in the head, it's pretty clearly a psychological defense mechanism, not reality. And honestly, what he did next totally destroys that self-defense plea anyway. When asked, hey, if it was an accident, why not just call 911? Daniel claimed he didn't trust the law, citing worries about civil forfeiture. So instead of getting help, he drags her body into the woods, leaves it to decay, then comes back later, unearths her remains, and actually uses lighter fluid to burn them. Does that sound like self-defense to you? Part 5, the forensic evidence. Okay, let's look at the hard science, because this digital footprint completely crushes any claim of a sudden heat of passion. Get this, at 3:30 in the morning on the exact day Nancy died, Daniel is Googling uncensored videos murders, executions, dude stabbed his ex-girlfriend, and buckshot wounds on humans. That is hours before they even met up.
And chillingly, 5 days after she died, he searches, "What does it mean when I see a vulture?" This wasn't an ambush. This was a calculated obsession with violence.
Then, the physical forensics tie the whole gruesome puzzle together. Human remains detection dogs go straight for the bed of Daniel's truck and those drag marks down by the canal. Crime scene techs are out at the compound sifting through the dirt, and they find burned bone fragments, a tooth, and part of a human skull with both a gunshot wound and blunt force trauma. And there, amidst the scattered ashes, they find a single finger with a pink fingernail. Using fingerprints, they finally, definitively identify Nancy.
Part 6. The Verdict and Justice.
Obviously, the court saw straight through all the fabrications. Daniel Stearns was convicted of second-degree murder with a firearm, abuse of a dead body, and destroying evidence. The sentence? Life in prison for the murder, plus concurrent 22-year sentences for the sheer desecration of her remains.
But, as is often the case, the legal machine just keeps grinding on. Even with literal mountains of concrete forensic proof, from the cadaver dog alerts to his own horrific Google searches, Daniel Stearns filed an appeal. That process is set to continue in December 2025. Still, the undeniable, concrete facts that those investigators dug up are permanently etched into the public record.
It's a really dark reality to wrap our heads around. Nancy Howery was just a mom looking for a little bit of connection during a super vulnerable chapter of her life. And instead, she crossed paths with a predator whose lies only fell apart because of the digital and forensic tracks he left behind. It really makes you wonder. When a digital footprint directly contradicts someone's spoken words, how safe are we truly in the modern landscape of online dating? Keep Nancy's family in your thoughts and always remember to look beyond the surface. Thank you so much for joining me.